Hello YouTube, I'm here talking about the LCK right before it starts tomorrow. I'm so excited for it to be back, and I think the offseason was super entertaining in the first place. So, just getting right into it, we're going with the team that made no changes, and that is BNK FRX. I think they were on the right track to not make changes. They won the invitational at the end of the season. That's non-world teams. Diablo, I think, was one of the best ADCs in the league last year, and I think they really only have ways to go up. Getting Daystar in for longer over Vikla, I think, will improve their team greatly, and just getting their team more time, I think, will be good. And I don't know who they would have been able to get to improve their other positions, so I think it's just overall good for them. I'm excited to watch Diablo just be a psychopath again this season. Getting into the supers, they had one of the worst off seasons. Or worst seasons, not off seasons. The off season I don't think really fixed their issues. I don't believe in Piosik anymore. So that worries me that he's still on the roster. Dudu, I think, is overall fine, but I don't think he inspired anyone. Taking closer from Brion, I think, is okay, but not a huge upgrade. The bot lane, I think, is a very, very big upgrade. I don't think their bot lane was the giant problem last season, but I think getting the literal world finalists as your bot lane, it can only be good. They had their issues during the season, don't get me wrong. I wasn't a big fan of them during the season. I actually wanted at least Decadon to be replaced as a KT fan. But it didn't happen, but it worked out. So we'll see them if they're able to improve and keep that performance for the supers. I'm still not used to saying that from the switch from Freaks, but hopefully I'll get there. D plus Kia, I love their changes. Getting rid of aiming and barrel. I love barrel, don't get me wrong, but it was time. And then getting, I think, one of the most hype bot lane prospects in Smash, and then getting Career, who won the LCK Challengers this offseason, I think is a great thing, putting them together. They looked good already in that Kespa Cup. So I'm very, very excited to keep watching them, and hopefully Showmaker can really kind of come back to form. And then we see Lucid and Siwu keep making their steps and improving over time. The only issue is CV Max. He's their coach, and that worries me a little bit. DRX, they made, I think, good changes. They took Vincenzo, who was the LCK T1 jungler, and he performed fairly well. They kept, they got UCal, I think, back from the LPL. I think he had an okay stint over there. They took Jiwoo from Nongshim. That's one where I'm not a big fan of, because I don't think Jiwoo had a great season. They kept Ondil, and then they got a new coach, and I don't really know anything about him. So I think they've slightly improved, but I do think they're a bottom team in the league still, and I really don't have much faith in them, and you'll see that in the coming tier list. And then moving down, we have Genji, keeping it the same, as they should. I'm glad they didn't overthink Worlds. They were the best team the entire season. Yes, they didn't win first stand, but that was, I think, more of a fluke than anything from Hanwha Life. And I think it was just unfortunate that they ran into KT at a time when I don't think Chovy had a good series. I think BDD played out of his mind that series, so... And they were just... KT was kind of their kryptonite last season, so... I think they're just going to be the best team out of the gate. I think they're the favorites. But again, it's LCK. They have the top three, and any one of them can beat the other. Hodge and Bro had the worst offseason because they lost the whatever bank it was that made them okay, bro. very sad to see that. But it is nice to see kind of like Jin Air kind of come back in spirit, because that is who the Hanjin Corporation owns them, from what I've been told. So it'd be cool to get some sort of thing with that. That being said, I think they didn't have a good offseason. Taking Gideon from Nongshim, yes. I didn't like Gideon personally there, so I think it's a downgrade. I think casting, it showed that he wasn't an LCK top laner for a while. And I understand they needed to get off Morgan and need to try something different, but I'm not sure casting was the answer. Getting Fisher, I think, is another one of those players that's like, yeah, I don't think he moves the mark that much. And then Teddy, I think Teddy is a good player. I think he's getting older, and I think he's slowed down a little bit. And I think the ADC is just so good in the LCK that it doesn't matter. Namgung is a player I don't really know, I'll be honest. But it's over Palu, so I think that's an upgrade. But I don't think we'll see the same results from Brion as last year. For Hanwha, they had the two big ones. They lost Viper for Guma, and I would say that's a side grade. I think they are really good players. I think Viper is just disgusting, personally, and I have a very high view on Viper. But Guma is obviously a 3-time world champion, just crazy good. And I think he fits the scheme more for Hanwha because you can focus more on top side. Because he's, I think, more okay being a weak side bot laner. So I think it helps them in that aspect, but I think Zeka is just a big question mark on this team, and you just need to see something out of him because he's been riding the World Championship, I think, a little long, and you would potentially want to see a different mid laner in there at some point, maybe even this season if it doesn't work out. KT, I might even say actually had the worst offseason. Coming off a World Finalist, you think everything's going to be great. They can't keep the bot lane, and then I would say they downgraded. I don't think Aiming played well last season. I think he has baggage. I'm not going to get into that, but obviously there's stuff going on with him. And then you get Ghost, who is going to be potentially like a support player and is going to role swap. And then also Palu, who was one of the worst supports last year. So I don't see it. I don't like it. It doesn't make sense to me. And I would be worried for them, and I just feel bad for BDD because BDD is such a good player, and I think was the best player last season. And now is stuck with, I think, another poor roster. So hopefully it gets better for him. Nongshim, they had a really good offseason by getting Scout. I think Scout had to come back for some Korean-related reason. I forget why. So it's very good to get him. They have a really good core of him, Kigan, and Lehens. I know Scout didn't look great at Keswick Cup, and also last year, but it's still Scout, so like you would expect good things from him. Getting Sponge from DRX, I think, is a little bit of an upgrade of Gideon, but I don't think is the one thing that moves the mark. I do think getting Taeyun from WE, I really helped them. I think Jiwoo was a little bit of a weak point, and now getting Taeyun, I think, pushes that ceiling a little bit higher, but I don't think they break into the top 3. I could see them being like the KT of last year, where like you wouldn't say they were really a top 3, but they got a world spot like that. But I could see them getting a world spot as that 4th team easily. And then T1, my favorite team. And I actually like the move, getting Pace. The reason I say that is I think getting Pays, who is a very mechanical, very like hyper carry type player, I think fits their play style with Doran now. Is the same reason why I like Guma on Hanwha with Zeus. But getting them to be a strong side, especially with Kara, who is the best Cario, who is the best support in the world. I like the move. I think it will be interesting to see how it plays out. And apparently it was a cheap contract, so especially for T1, it's good to be able to pay Caria and Owner, and make sure you can keep them, because I do think, on top of Faker, obviously, because I think that's just kind of the underlying obvious one. I think Caria and Owner are the ones that are just the drivers of this T1 team, and I think are the ones that, when Faker inevitably does retire, kind of keep that torch going and keep kind of T1 what it is. So yeah, getting into the tier lists. This is an interesting one because I didn't really think about it that much. But I will start from the bottom. I think DRX and Brion are the worst teams. I think they can punch up, but I don't believe in them. I didn't like the offseason. I didn't like the people they kept on the roster, and it didn't feel great. I put the supers a little bit higher, not much, only because of that bot lane. I think getting that bot lane improves it, and I think you have to respect two players that went to a Worlds Finals. So they get that C tier, but I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they get into that final qualification a possibility. And this is where I would say the teams that are going to be fighting for this last world spot would sit. But like there will be the outside chances. I think I will say that. Is VRX. Oh yeah, actually sorry, KT goes down here. KT's with VRX because BDD is too good to put it with that DN team. But I do think that VRX is better than KT just overall. The KT can come up here when BDD is just on it, even up here, but I'm worried about them. I want them to make roster changes, but I also could be wrong about the bot lane, so I want to just kind of put that out there, but I'm not high on the changes they've made. In this A tier, I think is Nongshim and D plus Kia. I think they are the two teams that are the favorites for that last world spot. While I do think VRX and KT can make it and get that spot, I think you would, looking at the rosters, looking at who they picked up, would have to put these guys. I think I would put D plus Kia higher on this list, but I think it is very, very close, and I think I could flip-flop them. It's really tough. I think the last season from Scout worries me a little bit, I would say. I'm going to rate Genji first. The tiers are ordered. I'm going to rate Genji first. I think they were too good of a team last season. I just can't not put them number one, and they've also just been so good in the LCK. I'm going to put T1 second. I think they get the respect as the World's winners, and I think they've shown so much top to bottom that they're just so good. And I think Hanwha gets that third spot, just because the Zek is a question mark. I think if someone like Showmaker or Scout was in that Zeka spot, I might put them over T1. But I think T1 is an overall better team. I think they have less question marks, and their question mark, who you would say is Doran, is the weak side, so it's almost okay that that's the case, and you can just stick them on tank duty and it's fine. So this is my ranking for the ranking for tiers. My ranking for the LCK preseason. I'll probably do one mid-season, and then I will be doing predictions on the shorts pages, and I wanted to just kind of track, see how I did. Just for fun, you know, see how I would do. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night.